Hello, and welcome to Clash of Lords 2 Coliseum Episode 1. Today I'm going to walk you through or show you some of the Coliseum fights I'm doing. Update just came out last night and Coliseum got reset. I've already worked my way up to about 1900 fame, and I'm trying to get at least to 2000 right now, and hopefully up to that 3000 so I can pick up the extra spirits and the shards for the new hero. So this is my lineup, as you can see. It's a pretty decent lineup, but let me start out by saying that Coliseum is by far and away the most frustrating game mode in the game. It's probably the least fairly matched game mode in the game, and almost nobody has anything positive to say about it. And I hear a lot of people are like, oh, I'm free to play, or I don't spend much money, and I always get my butt kicked by all these, high-powered guys. And as you're going to see, that doesn't change no matter how far up the ladder you go, unless you are literally the best. You have the best account in the game. I routinely, while I beat most players that I play, you can see from my battle records here that I win quite a few, but I also lose quite a few as well. There are a lot of players in this game that are more powerful than I am. So when I hear people are like, oh, well, you've spent a lot of money, you've got a big badass account, you must be just tearing everybody up, and Coliseum's easy for you and it's not frustrating. That's not true at all. Coliseum is probably more frustrating for me than it is for free-to-play players, because you guys get your butt kicked and you can just be like, oh, well, I don't spend any money on this game, that person spends a bunch of money, well, so that makes sense. I spend a bunch of money on this game, so when I get my butt kicked, it's even more depressing than if I hadn't spent the money, because I've paid a bunch of money in this game and I'm still not beating everybody. With that being said, I also think that Coliseum is by far and away the most skill-intensive of all the game modes. It's the game mode where the timing of your skills really makes a difference. The knowledge that you have about your opponents makes a difference. So I probably won't talk so much live about which skills I'm using in which order, but I'll give you guys some general tips on Coliseum. There used to be a couple different ways you could kind of game the system a little bit. You could run a smaller than 6 hero team, and sometimes that would help you. You could get matched up against easier people. I've found that tactic doesn't seem to work so well anymore. I don't know if they fixed something or what, but when I try to run a single hero, I still tend to get matched up against pretty powerful guys. So I run a full team, and one of the first things I would say is, if you're going to sit down and play Coliseum for an hour or two and try and get a couple matches in, the best thing you can do is pay very close attention to who you're fighting. Over the course of a couple hours, you're most likely going to fight the same 4 or 5 people multiple times. And if you can remember what their lineup is, what strategy they use, what order their heroes come in, that's a huge advantage to you, because that can help you plan what you want to do. And there's some players that you'll see, like, for instance, I've run into Gabba several times so far this morning, and I cannot beat Gabba. I came close once. But for the most part, I just know that's a losing fight. He's got vastly more powerful heroes than I do, better weapons. I mean, across the board, it's just a better account. So if I run into Gabba, 15 seconds in, I basically just forfeit and move on, because it saves me time to just get to the next fight. Oh, shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Saves me time just to get to the next fight and hopefully pick up some points there. So this one's a little bit closer than I would have liked it to be, but I might be able to pull it out. I've got my ReneVen here at the tail end of my lineup. I was able to enlighten her earlier this morning, and if I can get to 2000 fame here, I'll be able to pick up another spirit and enlighten her one more level and get those extra 3 attributes you get at level 4, so that'll be exciting. So this is pretty much what you do, you just kind of sit here and go through fight after fight after fight, figure out which opponents you have and what they do. So PJR, he and I come pretty close to each other. We've gone both ways. Sometimes he wins, sometimes I win. So this will be a pretty good fight. I like to lead off with my Great Sage right away and hopefully lock up the enemy heroes before they get to do anything. That's my plan, at least. It doesn't always work out so well. A lot of people run the skill lock removal. You can see that I run it as well. This is particularly important because I've been removing some of my Enchantresses as aids, which helps me against Wrath, because when you dispel debuffs, when Wrath is got his thing going, it ends up dealing a bunch of direct damage to your hero. So rather than have a bunch of dispels, I've swapped out a bit. One of my heroes is running a Wrath Aid, which does a dispel but does it on the enemy, so hopefully get some of those Pangoli Divines out of the way in a hurry, and I'm going to lose this one by quite a ways. It's not even going to be close. I should probably just forfeit and move on, but you never know. We'll keep going just for another few seconds here. The back end of my lineup can have some pretty good power to it. My Ambrosia's pretty powerful. She's evolved quite a way, or enlightened quite a way. So we'll see, but it doesn't look like I'm going to pull this one out. Toxic Shaman is fantastic in these game modes, particularly against enemy heroes that heal, like Abyss Demon, because it just kind of completely shuts his healing down, and that's how you end up getting rid of him. Otherwise, he can be very difficult to kill. And yeah, he's got 4 heroes left. I'm down to my last set of 3. I'm definitely going to lose this one. I'm just going to surrender and move on. I could maybe have held out there for a draw, but it's really just not worth my time. I lose 13. I can gain 25 to 30 by winning, so I'll just move on and go to the next one. Let's see what happens. So anyway, yes, my opening lineup, Great Sage, which I like to use right away, and I'm probably going to lose this fight as well. I'm familiar with Great Paw. He's got a much better account than I have once again. But, you know, got to do what you can do. So anyway, yes, I lead with my Sage. I like to pop off my Sage skill. I like to have my Toxic Shaman out first because it allows me to get some heals and maybe keep my Sage alive a little bit longer, which clearly didn't happen there. And also his Divine allows me to steal some of the enemy heroes and hopefully kind of mess their lineup a bit, is the idea, so they can't get, you know, like... Ideally, when you build your lineup, you want to stagger it a bit. So take, for example, I've got a couple healers that come out all at the same time, so it makes that section of my team really hard to kill because there's lots of healing going on. So if you can steal some of the enemy heroes or puppet them with Toxic Shaman's skill, you can kind of mess their lineup a bit. Maybe they can't get all their healers out at the same time, and it powers down that segment of their lineup a little bit. So that's kind of my tactic there. And then obviously Wrath is just utterly ridiculous. In most of the fights I win, he ends up living the entire fight, just sitting there sucking stuff out of the enemy. So he's definitely one of my favorite, more powerful heroes. And then I just kind of go through the lineup. I've got my ReneVen last. I see some people run her a little bit sooner in the lineup, and I've thought about doing that. My biggest concern with doing that is that she's not very tough. She's pretty fragile. And you can't use her skill in this game mode until you've only got 2 heroes left alive total, because it just won't resurrect anybody otherwise. So it feels like if you're going to use her, she has to be in the last spot, otherwise you won't even be able to use her skill effectively. With that being said, there are certain situations where I could see it being useful elsewise, especially since she can bring back a divine skill. So take, for example, Wrath. If I could have her out, have Wrath die, bring him back, and activate his Divine again, that would be a huge benefit for me going forward. And actually, it looks like I might beat Greypaw here. Wouldn't that be fantastic? He beat me several times last night. About to lose. Yep, there goes Abyss Demon. If I can get rid of that Skull Mage, I might be in okay shape. Come on, Skull Mage. There we go. Die. So we'll bring back my Arcane Caster. Pop her off real quick. Steal that Divine. Steal that Divine. There we go. Alright, we're going to get this one. Thank you for surrendering. Please, folks, do not make your opponent sit there and beat on your base. That doesn't help them. That doesn't help you. That's just a dick move. If you are beat, accept your loss. Don't be Trump. Move on. It's okay. There's more fights to be had. One of the most annoying things in the world is when I have to sit there and beat on a base when I have 9 heroes left and my entire opponent's team is dead. I've clearly beat you. Just surrender and move on. It's okay. So who we got here? Apex Gamer. Apex Gamer's got a Hydrosaur, and I fucking hate Hydrosaur. It's so unfair. Especially in this game mode. I mean, it locks you up for so long. None of your heroes can do anything unless you've got a flyer out, which is not very likely. Most people don't run very many, if any, flyers. And look how long this thing lasts. Like, he just wasted my Toxic Shaman completely. Didn't get to do anything with him. Oh, it's one of the most annoying teams in the game to me. It's one of the few teams that can reliably 100% my base. just all around frustrating. If you have it though, it's fantastic. I mean, it's great in Guild Boss, particularly on the Arcane Elder. It's probably one of the better ways to get score there, but it's really good on all of them. It can be good in Guild Clash, it's good in Lord's League. We may lose this one, we're getting pretty close. We each have one hero left. One of the things that's tough, but I advise working on, is trying to get better at paying attention, you know, which skills are being used when, which heroes are being used when. There's a lot of stuff that's going on here on the screen at any one time, so it can be often very difficult to do that. But if you can, it gives you a better ability to plan when you want to use your skills. So I definitely recommend that. Let's pop that out. Looks like I'm probably going to lose this one. I'm probably not going to beat that Toxic Shaman sitting there. The guy is unfortunately brutal. Does a lot of healing. He's got an Abyss Demon coming out. Abyss Demon's not too big of a worry for me right this second. Would have been better if my Arcane Caster lived, so I could steal the healing buff off of... I'm going to try it. Come on, give me that healing buff. Oh, too late. Nope, lost. Between Arcane Caster being able to steal the heal buff and then the healing reduction that Ambrosia gives you, Abyss Demon probably wouldn't have been too difficult for me there, but I was just too far down the road at that point. So here's Lord Abe, another guy that generally beats me, especially with those Jinnies, which are just ridiculous. You'll watch, he'll basically one-shot some of my heroes, and I won't get Pangoli Divine because of the way that the Jinnie works. So maybe, oh look at that, I managed to kill him before he could use Jinnie to just destroy my team. Yeah, there's really no good way to fight back against a Jinnie other than locking it up and killing it before he can do anything. You'll find that people that run Jinnies tend to just eat right through your heroes because of what he does. So if you have one, definitely use him. He's really good in this game mode. Unfortunately, I have one, but I have not worked on him at all. I've been focusing on other heroes. But I'll get there at some point. Next up is probably to work on the new hero. I did manage to pick up a card for him last night, and I used a bunch of Glory Eggs to bring him up to Glory 9. I got the first two evolutions, but I can't really go any farther because I don't have shards for him yet, which is one of the reasons I'm doing Coliseum, because there are 1,500 shards available for him in this game mode. I'm sure I'll do a larger review on him at some point, but just to kind of chat about him while I'm doing this, I'm on the fence. I don't know if he's going to be terribly good or not. He seems like if he is going to be good, he'll mostly be applicable to endgame, people that have maximum level walls and really powerful heroes. He definitely seems to be the most skill-oriented of all the heroes that I've seen so far. Knowing when to use his skill is going to be, it's going to be a particular challenge because of the way it works. So what happens is he starts out in a human mode, and he's basically a tank in human mode. He does some taunting every so many seconds. We're just going to give up and go to the next one here. He's got some damage reduction, etc., etc. And then you can use his skill, and if you use his skill, he transforms into a werewolf, and he becomes more of a fighter, attack damage type character. So it'll be a challenge to go through a fight and know when to swap forms for him, when you want to be taunting and tanking, when you want to be doing damage. But there's definitely some potential there. I'm trying to remember what his aid skill is. I looked at it last night, but I don't recall off the top of my head. It didn't seem like it would be particularly good. I definitely think the new hero is a step below Wrath, who came out a couple updates before that. I think he's by far and away a more powerful hero, and he's a much more intuitive hero. It's right away you can look at Wrath and you can see why he's going to be good. You can see how you use him. I haven't quite figured out where the new guy is going to be good yet, so we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to do some testing with him, get him evolved a little bit so he can make some of my teams, and we'll see where it goes from there. Get my ass kicked here. Oh, one of the most annoying things about Coliseum is just chains and chains of stuns, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you can run the stun removal spell, but it's only one time, and there's just so many stuns in this game, and there doesn't seem to be diminishing returns on stuns. So Dude comes out with his wonton and stuns you for 6 seconds, and then he hits you with, you know, a great sage skill that stuns you for another so many seconds, and it never gets, the numbers don't keep going down. You just stay stunned. I can remember a fight a couple fights before I started recording here where I had my Abyss Demon out and I tried to use his skill and I got stunned right as I used the skill, and he got stunned for literally the entire time that his skill was active, and then upon becoming unstunned immediately died because he had already had his Pangolier aid activated during that stun period. And that's just ridiculous. No hero, you should not be able to stun any hero for the entire duration of their skill. It's no fun to sit here and try and play this game mode and you can't do anything because all your heroes are stunned or silenced. I don't know. I really strongly dislike this game mode for all the aforementioned reasons. I think it ends up being unfair to almost everybody that plays it. But with that being said, it's basically set up the same way that Guild Clash would be. So when you sign up or when you start playing matches here, you've got all your heroes. It takes a look at how good your heroes are, how good your weapon is. It looks at your enchants, your skill level, your mercenaries, your evolution, your enlightenment, etc., etc. And one would assume it generates some sort of score number that it then matches you up off of that. So you can try and game the system a little bit and get around that. The only effective way that I found to do it is if you have a hero that is vastly more powerful than he probably should be for that particular level. I would like to at some point get some video up, maybe when I start doing Coliseum on my free-to-play account, but I have a level 60 free-to-play account that I've managed to hit 3,000 fame with every time I've competed in Coliseum with him. And I do it by running 2 level 1 heroes with no aids, and then I think during the last season he was maybe level 130 Abyss Demon. Wasn't very evolved. I think he had maybe the first Divine, but maximum Enchanted. And if you run just him with a sword and aids that have weapons on them, I was using a Pangoli, a Blockhead, and a Great Sage aid. You tend to end up getting matched up against people that have teams of 6 heroes, and those 6 heroes combined might equal the same power rating that your Abyss Demon does. However, none of them are individually powerful enough to actually kill Abyss Demon, especially with his healing. So you can just kind of easy mode it, just smash Abyss Demon's skill over and over and over and roll through people. So that's how I get to 3K on my little crap account. It's been getting a little bit harder because I've started evolving and leveling up that Abyss Demon, and so now I'm getting matched up against people with more difficult teams that are becoming much less likely for me to beat. So I have almost thought about keeping a second Abyss Demon on hand that never really gets evolved much past level 120, and then just dump a bunch of enchants into him and use that solely for Coliseum. But it would be much better if they would just fix it so you can get fairly matched and people can run full teams and actually have, a fun, good experience. But that's definitely not what it is right now. So hopefully I've given you a couple tips here. This is starting to reach about the 20-minute mark, so I'll probably cut it short. I've gone through a number of different Coliseum fights. I'm going to be keeping at it, trying to get up to that 3K, get those wolf shards so I can evolve the new hero. And I have plans to try and get up a review video on him. I would like to wait until I'm able to evolve him a bit so I can try and use him in some attack teams and get a sense for what he does. I think if I tried to do it now, it would be mostly pointless because he would just die immediately since I don't have him evolve much. So definitely check back for that. I've also got plans to do a review video on Berserker, who is a fantastic hero, especially on aid. He also can be an effective main in certain game modes. And then I'll still be working on the other normal content that I've been putting out. I've put up a couple Battle Royale videos lately. I'll probably do another Guild Clash video this weekend. And I'm also hoping to start doing some videos just kind of generally talking about how to develop your account, where it's smart to spend jewels or gems, which defenses are good to work on, all that kind of stuff. Help out some of the much newer players in the game that just aren't sure what direction to take themselves in, how to develop heroes, if they should be working on several at once or focusing on one, the importance of aids, etc. So keep checking back, and I will make sure I get some more content up for you guys. Perhaps some more Coliseum fights if it doesn't drive me totally batshit crazy, which it has a tendency to do. As you can see, it's not always the most fun thing for me. Just stay patient, people. You're gonna get there eventually. Maybe not the first day, because there's lots of powerful people like myself and these other guys running around, but just keep at it. You can definitely get to 3K even on a low-level account. You just have to be smart about how you do it. Ooh, see, I almost surrendered there, but luckily I got the draw. So that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Please let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts or ideas or feedback, and I will see everybody again soon.